Hi folks, hope you're safe and well. Marky here with the Exiles, joined by Ivan from Barking, senior instructor there. And behind the camera is Rupert, our lead instructor from the South Essex Exiles. So in the last video I talked about a trigger, okay, and we've done lots of this in the past. We talk about fighting becoming reactive at a certain stage and how it has to become that way. You don't have time to think and strategize and work from the mind in the way that a lot of people think, etc. And we used an example from the Largo section of FIORE's works, which is why would you grab the sword versus do some of the other plays? And we talked about the stimuli behind that decision in that moment. This is another really good example. This is from the Gioco Stretto section. The first couple of plays of that, where we have a choice to make, or people think it's a choice to make. So what happens is we're both stepping in this particular instance. We could have gotten there in different ways, but that's how we're going to set it up. Ivan's cutting at me, I'm also cutting or covering back, and we basically meet nice and deep in Crusada here, okay? It's broadly speaking middle to middle, but it can be a little bit deeper as well. From here we see a couple of different plays, both of which involve me hitting him with my pommel in the face, okay? The first option is like this, okay, where I'm checking at his arms and I'm using just one hand to drive that. We've done this technique, there's other videos on the channel with this. And then the second option is where I basically come forward with both hands, okay? This is a really good example, again, of a decision that I shouldn't really be making, okay? It should be based on familiarity and what is presented in front of me, because if we swap sides, if you drill a lot and you practice a lot, muscle memory takes over. Again, we don't have time to strategize. It's about what's presented in front of you, okay? So we've both stepped in, we've both met in Crusada in the middle. However we've gotten there, we've cut at each other, one of us cut, one of us covered, doesn't matter. This is a familiar position, this becomes the basis of my trigger. From this position, there's a massive gap here. There's a big opening. Ivan's arms are a little bit high though. So in this instance, I can visually see the gap, but I can also see the arm. And therefore I know I need to just take care of those just for a second. Okay? I'm not gonna hold him down. I'm not gonna stop his arms coming up forever. I'm just giving something there to line up this pommeling action. Just for the record, actually, when I'm doing that, it's an uppercut basically. I'm punching up with this, okay, because it's a smoother, cleaner action, as opposed to this, where we do that and we try and hammer at the face. It's going to give him more time. But in effect, I'm checking the arm and I'm basically just smashing that in. And from there, there's loads of other options, loads of other plays. Okay, so this is always just setting something up. If, however, there's a bit more lateral offset, or his arms are a bit lower, then I'm going to need to take a different option, basically. So we'll do the lateral offset this way. Okay, so we cut in at each other. Okay, lateral offset's here. Massive gap, and above my own cross, I cannot see his forearms. Okay, so again, my brain is used to this position. I've drilled it lots, so I know I don't need to check anything. I've got the space to smash this through. I don't need to take care of the arm. I'm only doing that for a second, and then I'm going to do something else with, off the back of that action. So again, this is a really good example of thinking about the plays for what they are, but also why we do certain plays. It's not just a collection of techniques. There are reasons for why some options are open and some options are closed, and you can make this as complicated as you want. The more you practice, the more options you open, because the more familiar you are with the stimuli required to understand how successful that option is going to be. So just to recap, here we're nice and close, his arm's a little bit high. I'm going to check that just long enough to uppercut this in the face, okay? More lateral offset, arms are nice and low now. I don't need to check anything. I've got a big massive opening, push, we go through, and then we've got the play. I'm not making the decision. Our positioning is making that decision for me, if you like. Okay, it's not a conscious thing, it's driven from stimuli. Thank you, and until the next one. Bye-bye.